But like, why mess with shame and why mess with fear? And fear, in my experience, is overrated. And I've certainly experienced it enough times. And I used to fight in the ring and get in there with dudes that were a lot bigger. Not hard to do, but there's. And I would fight these big dudes, like these guys weighed 40 pounds more than me, and I just trained harder, and I trained obsessively, and I lived to train, and I lived to teach, and that was my whole cycle of my life. And when you obsess over something, you get better at it, and then you win most of your fights. But for a couple of years, I would go the night before the fight, I would be so nervous and so scared, and the only thing that made me feel less fear was imagining, instead of these horrible pictures that I was allowing myself to entertain and getting the shit kicked out of me, I thought, well, if I'm making that up and it hasn't happened yet, I might as well play what if on the positive side. At least balance it out 50-50. And then I noticed that when I started to think about the things that I actually wanted to experience, I felt better. The fear dissipated and went away. It wasn't until a little while later, ironically, that I realized that those imaginations were actually catching the memories of my future self. Yeah. The inevitable version of me that had already won the fight was remembering to the nervous, scared, unprepared me and giving a little bit of love through that vibration of thought which transcends this slow, perfectly slow space and time that we have found ourselves in. So all versions of you exist simultaneously. There's only one now. We just experience one of them at a time. It's very convenient. You can experience duality and up and down and left and right and male and female and God. And you can experience all of these different things. You can experience sleeping in the dirt. And you can experience driving a Lamborghini.
Very cool pictures.
And posting pictures on Facebook. Because one does. But we are here to experience the full spectrum. And once, in my experience, I mean, yours is yours, but what I found is that when I stopped labeling this energy of fear, and I just breathed a little bit and just started imagining the more desirable outcome, I developed sort of a stronger relationship with that outcome. And then the weirdest thing happened. I started to know what to do. I started to think about what to say. I started to have the words arrive. And I started testing this. I've been pretty aggressively split testing paradigms since I was 17 or 18 years old. As homeschooled kids do, who have no friends and are super socially awkward. And so what I started to realize is that I stopped caring what's true, because there's so many conflicting versions of the truth. So I just stopped asking what's true and I started asking what's useful.
Yes.
That's good.
The gospel of utility. And so this experience of fear can only be felt in the present moment when you're focused on something you don't want. And you're the one doing the focusing. So the moment you notice that you're focusing on something you don't want, that's a perfect signal that nature integrates into you, that shows you what you don't want so that you can know more clearly what you do. And once you know more clearly what you do want, you may have to fan that flame. It may have to turn from a spark to an ember to a little bit of, I used to say Tinder, and then people are like, huh? Or skip to kindling. And then that's the app for long-term relationships. So I started testing this whole idea of flow, and I started testing this idea of releasing any sort of planning and just living my life as a preparation. And then some really cool things started happening. I started to know, and I started to have a clarity that was just always there, like on-demand access to cosmic Google. And I just stopped thinking so much, and I started using logic as the app that it's meant to be, not the OS that you're swimming in. And then I started to realize that, wow, this feeling thing is really good. You can just follow your feelings, and they're right. Fucking hell. Ben Kenobi was right.
Eureka.
So, urethra? So then I started just following my feelings, and then those feelings always carried an image with them. Sometimes it made sense, sometimes it doesn't, but it was always an image. And once I started to practice this whole time-piercing thing, and I started to treat that image as a little shout-out for my future self, I started taking it seriously. I started treating it like an instruction, and I started following instructions. And so for a couple of years now, I've not done anything scripted or prepared, including this talk. I don't know what I'm going to say 5 seconds from now. And what's happened as a result is the joy in my life has expanded exponentially. I no longer experience fear. I've creatively destroyed my old morality. So it's impossible for me to do something that I don't approve of. And then you're free of any judgment. And if other people say, well, you seem a little full of yourself, you'd be like, who should I be full of? Sounds pretty simple to me. And you're like, yeah, but what if you fuck it up? I'm like, don't project on me, bro. Then I get some scars and some stories, and then you get to have some cool tales to tell.